Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Seizure, where today we talk about the brilliantly funny and wonderfully acted A Fish Called Wanda from 1988.
Yes.
Oddly, this is the last film of Charles Crichton. He made a lot of films through, I think, the 60s, 70s, 80s.
He was an old man.
This. He was an old man. He wrote this with John Cleese, who is one of my favorite people, at least before the last 5 years. I love the man. Anyway, we're going to talk about A Fish Called Wanda. With me, as always, are Jason Oliver. Say hello. Hello, Jason.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, people.
Jeff Arbuckle. Say hello.
Hello.
And I'll say hello. Let's go.
What happened in the last 5 years?
Cleese is, and we don't need to get into this, but he's sided with J.K. Rowling on some stuff.
Oh, he's a turf.
I don't know. He said a couple
Maybe-
of weird things.
Maybe he's a Murph.
I think he's
a
just
Smurf.
bad at
blue.
explaining his position on these things, so he comes off.
Yeah,
Well, he's an old
that's-
man, so
well, yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say Shatner has a hard time explaining his position, but that's because he engages too much with people.
He
So maybe that's part of
1,000%.
it.
He 1,000% Shatner-wise engages way too much, especially on autism and stuff like that. But
I mean, I not to be ageist and all, but he is 82 years old.
He isn't
Yeah.
old.
He's an old.
he's a octogenarian.
He is. He is.
Okay, so instead of talking about that, let's talk about this film that's 40 or almost
So it's
30-something years old.
It's a 30 genarian.
Yeah, 30-genarian. A triptogenarian. Fish Called Wanda.
Yes.
Jeff, actually, let's start with Jason. Jason, you said you never saw this movie before. What are your initial reactions to this bad boy?
I'd never seen this movie before, and I don't know why. I mean, in 1988, I would have been 9 years old. Definitely hadn't seen an R-rated movie before. This movie, its humor is it's complicated. It's complex, right? It's not like it has elements of like a Zucker Brothers, but it also has really deep satire and really dense jokes. It's the kind of movie that almost everything is a joke, but on like these different levels. And it's just not a 9-year-old kid movie, right? And so I missed it. And I never, for whatever reason, ever circled back around. It's not a movie that I knew a lot of people raved about for whatever reason. Or it's not a movie that someone just like put in front of me and said, you need to see this movie. I always knew about this movie. Obviously, I know all the principal actors, the Monty Python connection I knew about even when I loved Monty Python, but the movie for whatever reason was elusive. So I never watched it. So when you suggested this movie for the podcast, I was like, all right, great. Cool. You know, I like all these people. I'm sure this will be, you know, at least an interesting watch. And I loved it. Loved it. Like every minute of it. It's a perfect comedy. It is absolute genius on display in its writing and its physical performances, in its delivery. It's a masterclass of cinema comedy. And I will probably watch this movie hundreds of times before I die. Maybe not hundreds of times, but dozens of times before I die. Like
Right.
This is going in the rotation. Like I want to watch it again right now. I absolutely loved it.
Yep. Jeff, go ahead, because then I'll share my like kind of connection to this movie originally.
Yeah, so this was one that I definitely saw once it came out on video, I think. I don't know if it was something my mom wanted to watch and we just rented it one weekend or whatever. I don't exactly know. I can probably say that it probably didn't hurt when John Cleese, was it John Cleese that did was he doing commercials for like Diet Coke or something during the Batman promotion stuff? I feel like he did.
Maybe.
But anyway, I knew the Monty Python people. My oldest brother was in the Monty Python. I remember watching Monty Python's Flying Circus on Channel 20. So, I mean, again, it was probably, 11-year-old Jeff probably trying to think of himself as older than he really was, and thought this is something I'd want to see. And I remember liking it quite a bit. And I definitely remember when Kevin Kline won the Oscar for it, which was probably the first thing I knew really about it, other than, John Cleese was in it and Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh, I know who Jamie Lee Curtis is. She's the girl in Trading Places and Halloween and all that. So yeah, I mean, I saw it probably right when it came out on video. I suspect it was something my mom wanted to watch because I think she likes Kevin Kline.
Hard not to.
Yeah. And I think she, why I think she likes Kevin Kline was because he was in Silverado, and Mom loves that movie. And that's why she likes Kevin Costner.
I like that movie too. That's a great movie. Yep.
By the way, I think there are some Kevin Costner movies we can watch, like Silverado and
You mean Kevin Kline or Kevin Costner?
No, Kevin Costner, yeah, like that. And
I mean, that's all you want to watch is Kevin Costner films. So.
Pretty much, yeah. No,
we've been talking about a potential baseball month, and
and as far as Kevin Kline is concerned, it's like I Love You to Death is still out there. So like there's a lot of there's still a lot of good Mr. Fish Odor stuff out there that we can.
What was our did we make a comment in a recent episode about like the large cold or something like that? What
we were talking about the Big Chill, but it was like
what was the joke? I can't remember. It wasn't that long ago.
It was
small worm or something.
Yeah, it was a small worm.
It was really stupid.
Yeah, it was really dumb.
Oh no, it was because of Kasdan. It was Lawrence and Jake Kasdan.
It was our Zero Effect episode. Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, so I mean, I definitely knew who Kevin Kline was in general anyway. But yeah, so I mean, it was just something that just was out there in the ether that I knew about somehow, probably through Kevin Kline winning the Oscar.
Man, he was in Soap Dish too. I feel like Soap Dish just keeps haunting us. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's a good movie.
It's haunting us.
All right.
So, but
you
anyway,
have more? Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
No. So it was just back to the original point. It was just something that was floating out there. I saw it. I liked it a lot. Probably have only seen it a couple of times since, but always knew that it was a very good. Like if somebody were to say, "Hey, Jeff, you want to watch Fish Called Wanda?" I'd say, like, "Yeah, sure, that's a good movie."
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah,
it's wild to me that this movie came out the same year as a movie that I equated it to in a lot of ways when we were just chatting offline, and it's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is that is a great movie too. I mean, in 1988 produced two of the best comedies ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just the year before was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
And around this time is also The First Naked Gun.
Yeah, and it's totally similar to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but decidedly more adult, right? Mm-hmm. And it really leans into some of the more profane moments in it, but it never goes too far off the rails. Like a lot of modern comedies just go to places that are just ridiculous.
Yeah,
and this movie still shows restraint, even with its R rating.
Exactly. You had mentioned, I think, in chatting offline about how this movie does not do a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? The improv, yeah. And how, it's like, this movie made today, if they say we're going to remake this movie, I guarantee you Will Ferrell's playing Otto. Guarantee you, and he's not going to have a script. He's going to be off the leash.
No. And then they'll just cut it all together and it'll be terrible. Yep. Exactly.
Well, let me say a few things here.
Yeah, go for it, Chuck. We're done.
One, I hate Kevin Kline. If only because he stole Phoebe Cates from all of us.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, that's a bit of a joke. He's amazing in this movie. But my original attraction to this film, 1000% comes through Monty Python.
Yeah, yeah.
My brothers and I were huge fans. We watched, I can't even tell you how many times we've watched the Holy Grail film.
Yeah.
And all of their other movies. So I don't know that I sought this out or saw it like right away, but I know once I was aware of it and it was on HBO, I watched it constantly when I was a kid, and mostly for the slapstick. Like, I didn't understand the depth of the humor when I was young. So oddly, Jason, I'm kind of surprised I haven't told you to watch this in the last 30 years because I loved it so much when I was a kid, but it was also something that I didn't continue to watch. But now it is definitely like I'm going to watch this a lot now.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. It's kind of like one of those movies where I knew it was critically acclaimed and I knew its pedigree, but I was afraid of it. I was like, what if it sucks? And I just never watched it.
Yeah, it didn't suck though.
No, it sure doesn't. It really, really doesn't.
No, and I understand that too, because I mean, like we were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago where it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, I didn't care much for The Prestige. And I am somebody who struggles mightily if I, you know, and it's funny because I don't have fear of missing out, but I have if you fucking tell me one more time that I love this movie, I guarantee you I'll hate it.
Yeah.
Now, while I didn't hate The Prestige, it missed out on me. It just missed the target. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, maybe subconsciously I always knew that it was going to miss the target. And so I was afraid to just sit down and watch it in the fear of not missing out on it, but in the fear of it missing me.
Right. I mean, that's the same thing, like different class of movie, 100% different quality of movie. But I'd heard so much about American Pie that, like, when I sat down to watch that movie, I was like, this is fucking dumb. Like, I don't like any of this.
Right.
But everyone else loved it.
That's one of those movies, and maybe something like a Farrelly Brothers movie. If you're not there right away, everybody else is going to ruin it for you.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, and American Pie is not one that's aged well either.
No.
Like
I said, different class, different. Yeah, 100%. Agree with that. But
I do agree that sort of resurgence of the sex comedy in the late 90s, early 2000s was pretty shallow. It didn't really bring a whole lot new to the party as far as comedy goes. And then it did feel like there was this like SNL takeover and like the Adam McKay, Will Ferrell types where it was just, and even the Paul Feigs, where they would have some hits. I'll even throw in what's his face, Judd Apatow.
Yeah.
Right. Where they had some shining moments, but ultimately it was like, if really in retrospect felt like they were just throwing shit at the wall, and a lot of it just doesn't work. 75% of it is just like bullshit. And they were looking for diamonds, and they found a few.
Their jokes in those movies just don't resonate. Like, right? They can hit once, but they're not funny over and over again.
It's absurd to the point of not being timeless, but being like only of its time. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And this movie is absurd. A Fish Called Wanda, but it is perfect. Like it is this is hyperbole, but it's Shakespearean in how effective its comedy is.
Well, it is timeless scenarios.
Yeah.
And it's
no wasted dialogue.
No wasted dialogue. And it has a killer black comedy streak in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the whole Michael Palin part is fucking dark, but it is hilariously dark.
His just I can't even with Michael Palin in this. His whole storyline, his arc in this movie is just tremendously funny. I there's never a moment on screen where he's not doing something funny.
Right.
And I know, like, I understand Kevin Kline got the Academy Award for this, and his character is insane, and he nails every element of it. But the character that is truly bordering on genius in this, the actor is bordering on genius in this, is Michael Palin.
I agree with you.
He's unbelievable.
I agree with you 1,000%. He is pure joy, like amazing performance. But Klein is too, and so is Cleese. And Cleese, in a way I've never seen him for half of this movie. Like the straight guy is fucking wild to me. Like every time I see it, I'm almost like my jaw's on the floor at his sentimental kind of touching side. He does this really well with Wanda all throughout the movie. And it's like, this is the guy that made me love comedy. And he's being very sweet and like, it's almost Robin Williams-esque in his performance. One other thing I did want to mention, because you brought up Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Stephanie, within the first 20 minutes of this movie, was like, well, Kevin Kline is basically Steve Martin.
Yeah.
He's very Steve Martin in this movie.
He's an imposter.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he has his own Kevin Kline-ness to it. No disrespect to his acting here, but it is archetype. Very, and just the physicalness of it, almost like the planes, trains, and automobiles scene where he has his hands between two pillows. That's not two pillows, and he gets up and does it. It's like that. That's what Kevin Kline was acting like almost the whole movie. But it
was the character from it was the other Steve Martin character from Yeah.
But this is more of a testament, I think, to Steve Martin than anything else. But Palin was also Steve Martin in this.
I guess that's right.
The physical comedy, what he's able to react to, the way his just face, the way he pulls his face, is the joke, and it's brilliant. It's not many people can do that. Otherwise, it just comes off as corny. Think about like Rachel Dratch in like an SNL where she's doing her Debbie Downer. It's like it just becomes a catchphrase, right? Yeah. But Michael Palin, I'm thinking specifically of the scene where he says the location of the diamonds, right? Without stuttering.
Oh yeah. It's fucking amazing.
And the look on his face of surprise
when he doesn't stutter.
And he even breaks the wall with the audience and looks at the camera, and it's perfect. Like that is incredibly difficult to pull off. And I laughed my fucking ass off because he nailed it. I mean, he's a genius.
Yeah.
That's stage comedy, and that it rarely ever translates to the movie screen. And everything he's doing in that is like very vaudeville, very stage comedy, and he's bringing it into your living room, into the movie theater, and it's remarkable.
I love it. Cleese has a moment like that too in the middle of the film in one of my favorite scenes, but we'll talk about that shortly. So let's set this movie up, right? We have, sorry to break the fourth wall here, but can you guys hear me okay? Because
Yep.
I'm having connection issues, it looks like. Okay. So basically, we are in a heist movie, right? I wish I remembered his name off the top of my head. Let me get it.
George
Thomason. Thank you.
George Thomason is played by a guy whose last name is Georgeson.
That's kind of.
I feel like that's like a meta joke, right?
Yeah,
probably.
Like, it'd be great if his name was Thomas Georgeson.
Yes. Yes. No, it is kind of.
But it is. It
is a reversal.
Yeah.
George Thomason instead of Tom Georgeson.
Yeah.
It
has to be a meta joke, right? That's anyway, funny as fuck.
Yeah. He's orchestrating.
Jeff's dying right now.
Just like it would be great if it was this thing that it actually is.
Yep, I nailed it.
Okay. So
you deconstructing that and down to the realization was Palin-esque, actually.
Woo.
Don't call me stupid.
Don't call me stupid. Okay, so two things. I do want to say that I hope you guys have better notes because, as Jason mentioned earlier, this movie is so dense in jokes that I could not take notes at an adequate pace, or it would have taken me 15 hours to watch this movie.
Yeah.
That's how great the fucking script is.
I have notes, but yeah, I mean, I can't.
They're not
I probably
deep
couldn't.
enough.
I probably couldn't truly give this movie justice in a podcast unless I watched it 2 more times. Like, it is that dense. Yeah.
Yeah. So listeners out there, give us a little bit of room here and go watch this fucking movie. I think this is the first time I'll say this. Like, maybe not the first time, but you should watch this movie before you even hear us talk about it anymore. I feel like.
Well, I hope that most of these episodes they watch the movie before we talk about it.
I do too, but I don't know if that's the case. Let's ask Jeff's dad.
Well, no. The answer is
I sure hope they watch The Prestige before they listen to our episode about it.
Probably.
I mean, here's the thing. If now we've set the stage. So at this point now, listeners, you should be doing that now going forward. I feel like we should probably do some sort of like a clickbait where it's like, you've been listening to Film Seizure all wrong.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
10 reasons why.
10 reasons why you've been doing it wrong.
And have one reason 10 times. You didn't watch the movie.
At least 3 will surprise you.
Yeah.
And we'll have a nude picture of Jason in there that has nothing to do with the list.
Oh boy.
Number 2, Jason's dong.
Yeah, Jason's Kong dong.
King Kong dong?
Yeah.
I wish.
All right, so George Thomason is orchestrating.
We've fallen apart here, guys.
George Thomason, I think this is great. George Thomason is orchestrating a heist. So this is like Ocean's 4, right?
Right.
Or Ocean's 3, whatever you want to call it. They're stealing
Ocean's 3 plus a crazy guy.
Yeah, they're stealing 130 diamonds, which are valued at
20 million
pounds
pounds
a piece. It's like
just 20 million pounds.
There you go.
Yeah.
20 million pounds. And what we have here is George Thomason, who's some kind of gangster. We don't really ever see his gang, but he's some kind of gangster.
He seems like he's the planning guy. He's the guy who he knows what he needs to do, and he will go out and get the exact guys he needs to do the thing. If he needed more than 4 people, he would have gone and gotten more than 4 people.
Yes, but he feels affiliated otherwise. I mean,
right.
It's not just these folks that are. So we have him.
It seems as though, yeah, you're right. I feel like he is no small fish. Not to be not.
That's the whole movie, Jeff. Yeah. So it's okay. It's okay. It really is. The fish is never the fish in this movie.
Okay.
Do you not know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, so there's George. We start the movie seeing John Cleese winning a case. And then because he's a barrister, lawyer
he's a defense lawyer, barrister.
Yeah. And then we see, I don't know why, it's really kind of funny that we meet Jamie Lee Curtis walking out of, like, I think a jewel store, and she has a purse that takes pictures, but that never comes up again in the movie, which is kind of funny. It never
comes up again, and it's not, I mean, like, I got the same impression. It's like, oh, they're doing a heist at a jewelry store. No.
Right.
They're going to a bank. So she's casing something that isn't the thing that we're supposed to be paying attention to.
Right. Exactly. And then we have Ken, whose first 2 lines, Michael Palin, are "Hello, Wanda."
Yes.
In the movie.
He is talking to an angelfish that he has named Wanda, which, by the way, here's something funny, just because I used to work in the fish department. I used to know I still kind of know a thing or two about fish and providing a fish tank. By the way, first of all, that apartment's going to smell real bad because he has no lid on that.
And no filtration, I don't think.
It didn't look like it, although it may have been one of those old school under gravel ones. But anyway, he has no actual special fish. The special fish that he has named Wanda is not that special. When I worked at PetSmart, you could have gotten one for $4.99.
Special in his heart, though, Jeff.
Yes.
Huh? Special in his heart.
Well, fair enough, but he also has a combination of regular tropical fish like tetras and whatnots, and the
tetras would have killed all the other fish. By the way,
no, the African cichlids that he had in there would have killed all the other fish.
Okay, but tetras are killers too, aren't they?
Oh my goodness.
Not really.
Oh, that's unimportant.
Yeah, it's not. The angelfish would have probably roughed up some of the other fish, but the African cichlids would have killed them all.
Yeah. So anyway, his first two lines are "Hello, Wanda," talking to the fish, and then talking to Jamie Lee Curtis, who comes in with her brother Otto, who is a weapons specialist, and I swear to God, he and Michael Palin are fucking made for each other.
Oh my God, the utter disdain that Otto has for Michael Palin, which is Ken. So Otto's utter disdain for him is fucking it's palpable from moment one. He is shot out of a cannon.
But
we have a guy
aimed at Ken.
Yeah. He has a beautiful voice when it works, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, but the thing at one point, Ken has a stutter, a really bad stutter, and it mostly seems to happen around other people. When he is alone, he doesn't stutter, or at least not nearly as much. He is nervous around Wanda because he clearly has an attraction for her. He is nervous around Otto because Otto's a fucking insane person. And like I said, he's literally fired out of a cannon, I think, into this movie. And at one point, Otto is trying to be nice to him, but Otto is a very bad person, to which he says to Ken, I knew a guy in the CIA with a stutter, cost him his life. And he just flippantly says that to him. It is fantastic.
Go ahead, Jason.
So I was just going to say, Otto is this kind of guy who reads philosophy and doesn't understand philosophy. He's called out on it later. But you're introduced to this character while he's reading Nietzsche. He's beyond good and evil, and
he's asleep, so he's dozed off during it.
His
alarm clock goes off. So what's he do? He immediately pops up and shoots it with a gun,
and then goes back to reading.
Right?
Yeah.
He is constantly quoting that, and he doesn't understand a single.
He doesn't understand it. But I love that opening scene. That your introduction to his character is his character. Like.
Yes.
He is constantly rotating between those things, right? It's like violence, fake intellectualism, and blasé.
And completely checked out.
Yeah.
And very jealously non-jealous.
Do not touch his dick, Chuck.
God. I fucking died the first time he said that. And then the second time he said it, I came back to life. So anyways, George shows up to the apartment. It's obvious that he knows everyone other than Otto. And he and Otto have like this great exchange where Otto's like, well, this guy stutters. What if he has to say something during the break-in? And George is like, nobody says anything during the break-in.
but somebody does end up saying something during the break-in.
Yes, that's true.
It's insignificant, but it does happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But immediately, and what I love about this movie, instead of like setup, instead of anything else, you're like cut to them breaking into the bank to steal the diamonds, like immediately. So this movie wastes zero time anywhere, right? Like ever. Right. There's no wasted anything.
It's an absolutely perfectly tight script. Yep.
Thank you. That's a better way to say what I was trying to say.
No, it's not better. It's just a different way.
Okay, fair.
What was the part in the middle?
Yeah, what was the part in the middle? That's the kind of stuff that like is recurring along with asshole. Like I just can't take the time to write all those down. Like it's
Frank.
So much. Bye, Frank. So they steal the diamonds. They have this kind of elaborate escape, which is actually kind of cool. Watch the movie, see the scene. They hide the diamonds in a safe in a garage. They all go their different separate ways. Wanda is supposed to meet George, who she's having a fling with. Her brother Otto is obviously not her brother, right? I mean, that is not they try to make it seem like it's true, but it's obviously not true from the get-go.
Well,
they're just playing that American thing.
Yeah. Well, they play it off, but like as Otto exits that scene, that very first scene that they're all together, it's broken at that point. It's like, no, just give us
It's
2 more
you're right.
days.
He's like, I'll see you later or whatever.
It's for the plot, not the audience. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. And that's kind of nice too, because we don't need to be fooled by their relationship to make this a good movie.
No, the comedy is in the opposite, actually. Yep.
Yes, 100%.
A lot of movies, especially probably these days, would probably try to be a smart comedy.
Yeah, make it a
hinge the plot on that. Yeah,
right. And what they would do is they would leave it almost entirely looking like they are brother and sister until the moment. Well, they would change it up at the moment that suits the writer and the movie, and it's not suiting the plot.
Right.
Fair.
They use it to manipulate, and I hate it.
Yes.
And you know what I'd say about scenes like that? Disappointed. Okay, so I'm going to lose a little of the plot here, probably. But we have, like I mentioned earlier, John Cleese is the barrister. He just won a case in the beginning. He'll come up here shortly. Otto and Wanda have conspired, obviously. There's a double crossing or triple crossing. Lots of crossings coming in this film, right? That that's what's going to happen the rest of this movie, basically. They go back to their apartment, wherever they're staying, and Kevin Kline hysterically pretends he knows other languages by saying common. Yes,
just Italian. Yeah,
but he doesn't know Italian. He just shouts out food
and dictator names.
Yes, Mussolini, mozzarella. Like he's just saying words he's seen in books. But this obviously turns on Wanda, which is important for later. Yeah. She loves a man who speaks other languages. But some of his, like, the way he delivers that shit is so funny and just awesome. And even her reactions later with John Cleese, the way she reacts, like, it's like, damn, it looks like she's legit turned on by this shit right now. She's drooling.
Oh man, real quick. There's a line earlier because he is jealous of her relationship with George. And Kevin Kline says something to her. He says, I thought Englishmen don't even like women. I mean, the way he talks. It's just kind of left there and hangs there. But that is a really funny joke.
Right. On
a couple different levels, especially I thought Englishmen don't like women. It's like, well, how the fuck do you think they reproduce? You know?
Right.
but it pays off though too.
It so does.
When we see when we see how John Cleese lives his life.
Yep.
In that utterly loveless relationship that he has.
Yep.
Did I'm sorry, I kind of checked out there. What were the part in the middle there? Did we talk about Otto the Ninja?
No, we didn't. So there's two things we didn't talk about because you mentioned I'll let you have Otto the Ninja. But during the first
do shut up, Portia.
Yeah. Do shut up, Portia. During that first like heist scene, we're kind of intercut. Or either prior to that, we're intercut to John Cleese going home from winning his case and talking to his wife, who's completely uninterested in him. Like, instead of being happy he's home, she's like, well, this is the first moment I've had alone all day. And he's like dejected, goes to make her tea, and like 30 seconds later, she comes in like, I'll fucking make it myself, basically.
Well, he gets intercepted by Portia,
who wants a new horse because her current horse is not even good enough for dog meat.
Yeah.
Dog food or whatever.
So good.
Every single character in this movie is an awful person in a different way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Exactly.
And
they could have called this movie A Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Like, they could have. The same title works.
Oh, you could have called it Everybody's an Asshole in this movie.
It kind of has, it doesn't have the malaise of Zero Effect, but it has that same level of deplorable that's likable still.
Right.
Like, and I could see why you like this, Jeff, based on you describing your love of Zero Effect. So, but anyway, important that he has a terrible relationship with his wife, but you wanted to bring up Otto the Ninja. So
Yeah.
please.
So yeah, this happens. This does happen after the first time that Wanda and John Cleese. So Jamie Lee Curtis and John Cleese have seen each other. So the double crosses are all in at this point. They have, they've stolen the diamonds. Otto and Wanda have turned in George, but George and seemingly George and Ken are also double crossing them in different ways. And George has been arrested now. And so realizing that this guy who is actually, John Cleese is supposedly somewhat of a famous barrister, she realizes that he is handling George's case. So she's going to go and try to find out what he knows that could help her and Otto take off with the diamonds. And she's kind of flirting with him and asks for his autograph.
He's the famous Archie Leach. That's Leach. Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. And so she gets his autograph, and she's flirted with him to the point where he's thinking, oh, well, somebody's actually paying attention to me or whatever. So this is where, beginning with Otto the Ninja, it goes directly into this other juxtaposition between these two
The dress
couples.
down, man.
Right.
So good.
So the Otto the Ninja is just so they have to figure out where these diamonds could possibly be. So she shows up having already kind of teased up Archie a little bit, John Cleese.
Yeah.
And she comes in to Otto in her hideout or whatever, and Otto is he's just fucking jamming on this samurai sword like a fucking ninja in a mirror. And it's like he's kind of like he's masturbating in the mirror.
Oh yeah, he's self-flagellation or whatever.
Yeah, totally. He's like flexing.
That's the opposite of masturbating, but
yeah, right.
Thank you. I don't know. Sometimes I say weird shit.
That's when you like whip yourself.
That's what priests do.
Whip yourself in a way that's painful, not in a way that makes you ejaculate. Unless pain makes you ejaculate,
right?
Yeah.
In which case,
then it's self-flagellated masturbation.
Remind me, I'm not going to bring this up here, but after this episode, I have to tell you a story about that. That doesn't relate to me, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, our listeners will be very intrigued.
Message me, I'll tell you.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Perfect. Self-flagellation, you often see priests in exploitation movies do that.
Yes. Okay.
Anyway, so he's just like rocking out with this fucking sword, and he's got the headband on, and he's kind of wearing half a gi, and he's just being a ninja.
Which is funny because Stephanie, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go for it.
When they robbed the bank, Stephanie said, "I'm really loving this ninja movie."
Yeah, because they are dressed like ninjas. Yeah.
Yes, but Kevin Kline is acting like a ninja all throughout that scene, even though he isn't one, technically. But go ahead.
Yeah, so he's
he does throw a knife at the painting of Ken's dog too, which was again in another just quick moment of physical comedy. Ken's reaction to that's perfect.
So he's just doing ninja stuff in the mirror, and Wanda comes in and she's like, "So what did you find out?" And he's like, "Nothing." It's like, yeah, because you've been doing this all fucking day.
Oh yeah,
that's 100%. He's been doing this for 6 hours.
Yes.
So yeah, he's
that or his weird Buddhist tantric. He said it was tantric, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he did.
He probably misunderstands what any of that.
Yeah, he throws it all around. It's just.
I wanted to make sure you guys knew I wasn't saying self-flagellation.
No.
That's what he would have said about what he was doing in the mirror. Probably.
No, he probably would have said that he was self-flagellating.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Chuck knew what he was doing.
It would be really perfect if this is what Chuck meant.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's kind of like Tom Georgeson. and George
Yes,
Thomason.
that's
Anyway,
what I
so-
just alluded to. God, I hate you. I love you, Jeff. I'm
Yeah, but-
he's just throwing the dirt on you at
I
this
know.
point. Yeah.
It's fun. So anyway, so now he's to kind of break the mood a little bit, because Wanda's pissed because like she's out there doing all the work for everybody at this point. And she's kind of had enough of Otto's bullshit, but he starts talking in goofy Italian. Is there an Italian equivalent to English?
I don't know,
Like,
but I feel like he's probably speaking it.
it's that, right? Yeah. So anyway, so he's talking in bullshit Italian, and she's getting turned on by it. Now they're like going at it. Like her legs are straight up in the air, and he is just he pounds a few times.
Oh, he's jumping up like he obviously cannot be having sex in reality.
Unless he has
It's
an
so-
18-inch dick.
It's super goofy. It's super goofy. Yeah.
But he has a cross-eyed orgasm,
Uh-huh.
Yes.
which is perfect. I mean, because
Steve
of
Martin.
course he would. Yes.
Steve Martin,
But
1000%.
it's interesting because that it's in that moment where he doesn't quite sell it for me. Like Palin never fails to sell that kind of physical comedy in this movie. Klein in a few places just comes up a little short, and that's one for me. Is
That's fair.
his cross-eyed face.
Take away his Oscar.
But the real important part here is it's juxtaposed, right?
Right. By this mundane separate beds.
Yeah.
Just a pitiful life on the other side with John Cleese and his wife. And she's, she wants to go to bed earlier than he does. Like I said, they have different beds. They have, there's just nothing exciting going on there.
He's
Except
been
for
forced
maybe
to-
there's one thing that is potentially exciting, but neither of them pay any fucking attention to it, is she sleeps without her panties on. That's
Yes.
it. And
Well,
that is potentially exciting, but it does nothing to either of them.
Not to blame the woman in any real scenario, but he's kind of been forced to disinterest, right? Because he did try to engage her and get her excited about him winning the case. Again, that's self-interest, but
Right. Yeah.
she's forced him to a place of not wanting to pay attention to her because she doesn't pay attention to him.
Right. Well,
At least the way you're supposed to read it in the film, right?
It's kind of a snake eating its own tail here. It doesn't matter who started doing what. There's no way that this is gonna
Absolutely.
work
The only
out.
reason I say that is because he did show a little bit of interest earlier, and she's like, "No, fuck you."
get the fuck out of
But,
here.
but
Yeah,
he's
but
also kind of like the less important one in the relationship. She's the
We
money.
find out later that yes, that is true.
So
But-
he's trying to make himself seem more interesting in her eyes because, hey, I want a case, because he doesn't have much else to.
But
to
what's interesting is outside of that very first moment of this movie, when he stands up and says, "And therefore I close my case," and he wins. Every other thing that we've ever seen him do in this movie, he's a fucking drip. He sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And that's a really funny moment too because it's so stereotypical,
right.
like winning the case. Oh God, I love it.
Well, he's been kind of defeated by life because once he meets Wanda, because Wanda totally plays on that, I think you're famous, which is all a farce,
Mhm.
but it gives him some self-importance. But once he starts to gain confidence back, he's not a drip anymore. He's not that character. Like when they're in that house and he's speaking Russian and dancing around in his underwear, that is like supreme fucking confidence for a male.
Sure.
right? Like,
And by the end of the movie, he has made a complete and total change. Like he takes charge at the
he
end.
has the biggest arc in the entire movie.
Right. Yeah.
Really.
And he's the one that should have the biggest arc.
Yeah.
I would say, though, that to a certain extent, Michael Palin has a reverse arc, but by accident and stupid happenstance.
Yes.
It's interesting too. There's like this weird thing happening here with the British comedy, and it's in its critique of being British, right? Because you've got Kevin Kline's character who is just brash, this person who thinks he's smarter than he is,
Which is what most people,
Which is what
probably
most
in England, would think of us.
would think of Americans, right?
Listeners in the UK, I'm sure you're thinking that right now.
And at every turn, he's denigrating the English people, calling them snobby, calling them elitist, like really digging in on that. But then you also have that criticism coming from John Cleese. There's like, the people, we're just so terrified of being embarrassed that we're stunted, right?
Right.
And that kind of stuff rings true to me, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something very cultural about that Cleese is commenting on.
Oh, he believes it 1,000%.
Especially coming from him of Monty Python fame, right?
Right.
Because he's made a career out of going kind of against the stuffiness of being English. So it's just interesting.
There's always been that kind of self-making fun of our accent or silly bureaucracy of the United Kingdom. But no, I mean, you're probably right. When you're one of the most imperialistic countries on the planet in history, you probably have a lot of embarrassment there.
Yeah.
You're constantly having to make up for it as each year passes.
And that's
the more
kind
and
of
more
why
you have to do that.
And I think that's kind of why, character-wise, it's a turn-on for Leach, right?
Yeah, Archie Leach.
She is very interested in their political or
their law.
I should say. It's very interested in their law and says he's famous and all this. So it hits all the fucking right notes for him as a character.
So she knows what buttons to push for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, she's a master manipulator. I mean, you get that sense. Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in this is interesting. It's like it's nothing extraordinary, but it's correct.
It's perfect for the film.
Yeah, like she plays what she needs to do correctly, but she's not really given like anything flashy to do. Right?
There is one incredibly funny moment that she has, and that is when she goes to see him at his office.
We're not there yet. That's my favorite moment in the whole movie.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
No, not the office, at his house. So go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
So she goes to his office to try to set up a date. And we're pretty much at this point here.
Yep.
Yeah, we are.
So she's like, hey, can I talk to you for a few minutes? And he buzzes her, he tells the person at the front desk, he's like, there's an American law student here to see me or whatever. Let him in. And so she comes in and she's wearing glasses, and then she takes off her glasses to start talking to him. And she is like trying to readjust her sight. And it's so unannounced. It is so, we have not seen her in glasses the entire movie until that moment. And it's just one of those things that is just thrown out there, and it just happens. Nobody makes any comments towards it. And meanwhile, I'm laughing my ass off over here.
Yeah, it's a tiny detail that just works. Yep.
Right. And it's because
she's
it's
wearing
so
glasses
physical.
to look smart.
Yes.
But she's not supposed to be wearing them. So she's,
she can't adjust to it. And it just happens. Neither one of them say anything. She just sits there for 30 seconds, like making weird faces, trying to readjust her sight. And then they move on to the scene. And it's just, that's one of those things.
I laughed at that too.
I mean, I had to make a note of it because it was that small and I knew it was never going to come back.
Right. So that scene in particular is her trying to understand what happens if George Thomason, who's in jail, pleads guilty or innocent.
Right.
And who would find out where the diamonds were because he could trade them in for years off his sentence. And once Leach realizes that she is the Wanda Gershwitz. I'm surprisingly good at remembering names in this movie. He's like, we can't talk anymore because this is like kind of tampering, basically, is the way I'll explain it. Maybe that's not right. But so he kind of kicks her out of his office, but she kisses him as she's about to leave, and this old man, who's probably a part of Parliament or another barrister or whatever, whoever
he might be, like a judge or something.
Yeah, a judge or something comes in. And she's like, goodbye, uncle. But the look that dude gives him, who's a non-actor, it's almost like a Coen-esque kind of performance by that old man. Not as hokey like Small Town, but still like that reaction from an old person who doesn't have a part in the movie but lends something to it, is great. I love it. But she leaves. She doesn't have the date yet, right? She solidifies it later at the trial, which is hilarious, or it's a pre-trial or the trial that everyone shows up at that stole the diamonds, which fucking cracks me up.
Right.
They were all there.
Yeah,
it's like, how stupid are you people?
Yeah. There is one itty bitty little detail I don't think we've talked about. There's an eyewitness.
Oh yeah.
That's a small detail. Very small detail.
Very small detail. There's this very old lady who almost gets hit, or her dogs almost get hit by George peeling away from the scene of the crime.
It's actually Wanda that's driving because she's in the right seat.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's one of those things. By the way,
I was confused that. Yeah, go ahead.
Auto driving in this movie is fucking fantastic.
Asshole!
Revenge!
Well, that's Ken, not Otto.
That's Ken. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, so anyway, but she sees George very clearly and is able to identify him. And so George has told Ken to do something about her.
Right.
Which is to kill her. To which Otto does not believe that Ken is going to do. He bets him a pound that he cannot do it.
That scene is fucking hilarious. Like comedy fucking genius. Like with Ken or Otto yelling like, he's going to kill her. It's just perfect.
Dude, this movie understands how to make gay jokes tastefully.
Oh yeah.
Like there is, I think one of the funniest jokes in this movie is when Otto tells Ken, he's like, you're gonna, that isn't nice, killing old ladies, I think is what he says. And Ken retorts back and stutter, better than boogering people. It's like, really? It is? That's fucking funny. That's just funny. Like, no matter way you tell it, that's funny, man.
God, I love this movie.
Yeah, all the interactions between Michael Palin and Kevin Kline in this are just, you're right, Chuck. They're made for each other. They play off each other perfectly. And
it leads to one of my favorite, maybe scenes in film later. But we'll get there. So
it's funny you brought up the Coens because I mentioned them offline, but there's a movie that the Coen brothers remade that this movie reminds me a lot
Lady
of.
Killers?
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Like the original Lady Killers especially. Like, it's crazy how similar some of the comedic beats are, some of the bits are. Like, I would have to imagine that John Cleese was a big fan of that movie. I'm sure he was. He's not dead, right?
No, he's not
he's
dead.
82 and
he's just semi an asshole these days.
Yeah.
I still love him. I'll love him until I die. So they have that little exchange, and I'm going to probably flip some stuff around here because this is one of those movies that jumps from scene to scene, character to character.
Yeah, it jumps a ton. I mean, we could probably do some of the bit with Palin at this point, where his first attempt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you want to discuss that, please go ahead.
His first attempt is my favorite of the three.
It's the funnious thing in the fucking world.
Yeah,
it's so fucking funny.
The close up of the actual thing happening.
Oh shit! You know what? God. Before this happens, though, the whole thing where Wanda goes over to John Cleese's house, where they're gonna have that whole thing happens. So maybe we should talk about that first. Who wants to do that?
Okay.
Chuck,
unless Jeff, you want to take it.
Nope.
This probably my favorite scene in the movie.
This scene is amazingly funny. And yeah, this is like a lot
It's like
of stuff
halfway.
happens here.
It like hinges. This movie hinges on the scene. In a lot of ways.
It really does. It hinges on
So-
I can set it up for you here real quick.
Please do.
So back when they went to the office, it was like, or when she went to the office and was talking to John Cleese, he basically was able, he said, we can't talk to each other anymore. So she kisses him, she leaves. He calls her and says, hey, I found out we can talk to each other. We just can't talk about the case. And she's like, great, I'll see you Saturday night. And so they make a date for Saturday night.
Friday night, but go ahead.
Oh, was it Friday? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was Saturday.
He
night.
remembers that detail.
Yes. He wanted to set this up, not me. Go ahead.
Fair enough. Anyway, so she goes over. Otto drops her off, which is a first mistake. But the reason why she can go to her place is that John Cleese's wife and daughter Portia are going to
Who's named after a car.
well, that's the joke later. Yeah.
Yes,
right.
yes.
So they are going to go to the opera now. But we see just as we are shown that Otto has dropped off Wanda, that there is a flat tire on the car and they never get to the opera, to which the wife says, I told your father to service the car, as if running over a fucking tack in the road is gonna be helped by service.
Do shut up, Portia.
So we already know, even before the scene begins, that there are on a definite time limit that they didn't expect to have.
Yes, and something we didn't discuss, unless I missed it when I ran to the bathroom, is that Wanda had seen Michael Palin hiding the key to the assumed safe deposit box in a treasure chest in Wanda the fish's fish tank.
Right.
And she took it and put it in her locket, which she hangs around her neck. So at this point, she is it feels like she's definitely still using Leech, but I think she's starting to fall for him just a little in his earnestness.
Yeah, she likes him, but she definitely wants to know where the hell the diamonds are.
She's already told Otto that he's not that bad looking of a guy, to which he's like, and now you have the hots for him?
But she also already told him she's not into necrophilia because he's much older than her.
Much older, yeah.
Right. Well, also, he's pretty much a dead fuck anyway. I mean,
Ooh, the dead fuck line. I love it.
How about that?
So yeah, they're having a little intimate moment, and she keeps kind of cutting him off because she's not ready to go there. Like, oh, I need a drink, and he gets her a whiskey.
Well, isn't this the first time that she's been told not to touch his dick?
Yes. When Otto drops her off, he's very jealous in the car, but pretending not to be jealous.
Because she's like, well, what do you mean by being friendly with him? And she's like, well, it might be some kissing. And it's like, well, what about touching your boobs? And he's like, well, there's probably a decent chance in that, 80% or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, then don't touch his dick.
Yeah.
Touch his dick and he's dead.
Exactly. And another funny thing about Kevin Kline in this is like when he's trying to ascertain a situation, he repeats 7 words that mean the same thing. Like he's constantly repeating the same word, or not the same word, but a word that means the same thing as the word he said prior.
Oh,
so in this scene, he does it like 5 times. He says, is there going to be this? I didn't write him down because it's too fucking fast. Is it going to be this? Is it going to be this? And it's like, those are all the same thing, Kevin Kline, you moron. Because he's stupid, right? And you don't want to call him stupid. Don't call him stupid. He has all of the continued gags in this besides Michael Palin with the lady, which we're going to get to in a moment. But anyway, so while Wanda and Leech are making out, Otto breaks in and he's watching them And this is the first of a few times where he does this bullshit, and it's fucking hilarious.
Oh my God. The second time is my favorite.
It's great. And the third time is amazing too.
Well, because this is also, because there's a really funny line coming up from John Cleese. Not quite yet, but I'll let you know when we get there.
I know which moment you're talking about, Jeff, though, because it kills me too when he sneaks around. Oh my God, it's so good.
Oh,
so
no,
this
no,
is
not that.
No, it's not that one. Oh.
There's a couple. This whole scene is fucking phenomenal. It's like perfection in a movie. So Cleese goes to get her. She notices that Otto is broken in, and he's hiding behind a door. Leech is getting really hot with her, and he rips off her locket. And she's like, well, kiss me here. And she's like, describe to me what would happen if X, like, if he pled guilty. And he's like, blah, 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 like mumbling on her breast. And it's hilarious. But then she notices that Otto is there, and she's like, oh, I need a cold drink, right? And he goes to get champagne, which he's very excited about. And he runs away. But while he runs away, his wife comes home. While Otto and Wanda are arguing, basically, and he jumps behind a door, she jumps behind the door of the liquor cabinet, and Cleese comes back to the room with the tray of champagne, and he's like, champagne. His wife is
sitting on the couch.
Yeah, that's what I made the champagne.
It's so good. And then they go into the middle of the room, and I don't know why his wife realized that someone else was there.
She didn't.
I thought she did, because that's why Otto comes out and says it was me.
It was that was. Were you expecting there to be somebody else or something to that effect? And then Otto takes actually the one smart thing that Otto does in this entire fucking movie. He steps and it ends up going horribly wrong. But he steps out and he's like, "Oh, it was me that he was talking to." And he's like, "Who are you?" "Well, I'm with the CIA, and we're just going from we've got some
someone in a safe house.
We've got a Russian person that we've got in the safe house over here, and we just want everybody to know." And she's like, immediately cuts through that bullshit.
Yeah.
Because
it's like, what kind of moron do you think I am?
She calls him stupid.
My father was in secret intelligence. Yeah.
She calls him stupid, and he says, "Don't call me stupid."
And it's all like, why on earth not? Here's the line, actually, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you? Well, would you like to know what you'd be without us, the good old U.S. of A, to protect you? I'll tell you, the smallest fucking province in the Russian Empire. That's what. So don't call me stupid, lady. Just thank me.
Fucking beautiful.
And then she says, well, thank you for popping in and protecting us. And then he continues, if it wasn't for us, you'd be speaking German, singing. Then he starts singing Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles.
Yeah. And all the while that's going on, Cleese is like mystified. He has his face acting
Otto is. Yeah.
Well, he has no idea who Otto is, and he has no idea where Wanda went.
Yeah.
So he's like fucking... Just his face. It's the same face for like a minute. It's brilliant. Go back and watch it if you didn't notice.
So good.
It's so great. I just love it. So then Portia comes into the room. The daughter. And
all right, hold on. Her name is spelled Portia. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. It's not
like,
named
like
after,
the actual name. It's
like
the name
Shakespearean
Portia.
character Portia. Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I'm making the joke that's made in the movie.
Right.
Sorry. Yes. And Cleese immediately is like, well, let's all go to the pub because Wanda's still in the room, and his wife is like immediately onto him, like, we haven't gone to the pub in 15 years. What the hell is going on here? And Portia picks up the locket that Wanda had on her, her neck. And this is like the crux of the movie almost from here on out, because the locket has the key that was in the treasure chest that opens the safe deposit box, wherever that is. We don't know yet. And now Leech's wife believes that it was a gift to her, and she fucking loves it.
She loves it. Like it's the best present she's ever gotten. So the next day, John Cleese gets a call on the phone. Portia answers. It's just, it's for you. And gives him the phone, John Cleese's phone. And again, I talked about this a couple weeks ago with Sure Effect. A joke is much funnier when you only hear one side of the conversation. And I've got it pulled up. Hello? Or not at the moment, no. Yes, well, I'm not quite sure when I'll be able to get a hold of that. Yes, I do appreciate that. Yes, as soon as possible. Well, that would be very nice, obviously. So, see you soon, I hope. Bye, Frank.
And it's so clearly Wanda, right?
It's so clearly Wanda. Like he's so uncomfortable on the phone too.
It's
and
brilliant.
Then to end it with "Bye, Frank." It just, I was dead. I was like, perfect.
And
perfect.
Up until this point, Cleese had played like a straight man.
Yeah.
And now he's getting into the John Cleese that I love.
Oh, by the way, I also just found what you had just said, Chuck, about Otto saying the same thing multiple times. Not to go back, not to cut this off.
No, please go ahead.
This is a perfect encapsulation of exactly what you said. He says, when you say friendly, what are we talking about here? Cordial, courteous, supportive, what?
Yes, exactly. He repeats a word that means the same thing. Yeah. He does it like 5 times in the movie.
And then she's like, well, I don't know. Let's just see what happens. And he said, so friendly might include actual, what, penetration?
Yes, and then he takes it like 9 steps beyond what he was talking about. Yeah, 100%. I continuously laughed at that because he does that multiple times. Okay, so here we go. Jason, I would like to let you have this because the next scene in the movie is when Ken decides that he needs to he's been told he needs to off the lady that can positively ID George Thomason in court. Well,
has already ID'd him.
Yes. He ID'd her in a line, but he can do it. She can do it in court.
But the prosecution wants to rush the case to court because she's very old and
she has heart problems.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt you there, but you're right.
So yeah, they're obviously going to try. His plan is to get her to have a heart attack, right? Because he can't just kill her. It's impossible for him.
Wouldn't it be obvious?
And I guess it would be obvious, yeah. But oh my God, he's got this. It's like a Doberman pinscher. It's a Doberman pinscher, and he's got it in his.
Can I stop you for 1 second?
Sure. Because
we haven't really brought this up. Ken fucking loves animals.
Oh yeah,
I brought it up last week. He loves the fish in the tank. He doesn't want any animal to die. And that is very important for
he gets upset when Otto throws the knife at his dog.
His baby seal.
Or his baby seals, that's right. Yeah.
And Otto continuously calls dogs and fish insects, and that fucking infuriates Ken. Yep. Sorry, go ahead, please.
So he has stolen previously a pair of clothing from the old lady, and he's now using it to train this Doberman pinscher to attack her, right?
Kill.
And he's like, kill. Smell, Maggie, smell. No, kill. Kill. And he lets the dog go, and the dog just takes off like a dart down the sidewalk,
like Kevin Kline does in the movie.
Just like out of a cannon. And you think it's gonna like attack the lady, but no. It snatches up one of her miniature toy dogs and just runs. And I was for a moment, I was just like, what? And then I just lost it. It's like, that is so geniusly funny. Like it completely backfired in every way it could possibly backfire for Ken. And then you see him.
Also, he's
and then you see him and he's crying.
Yeah. He's right. He's also been scratched by the dog, which
The dog was trying to kill him before he opened the door.
And then, which caused him to let go of the dog, which then shot out the
Oh my god. The way it just like snatches the dog up so fast. Oh my god. It's and a look on again Palin's face when it happens is like of shock and sadness. It's so good.
I have to know at this.
And then it goes to the funeral, and this lady has like a full Catholic like funeral with choir boys and everything for her dog. Oh my god, it's wonderful.
I want to ask at this point because I feel like Susan would find great joy in this, but I think when you watched it, maybe she didn't with you.
We didn't watch it together. I think that she would like this movie though. I do. Yeah.
I feel like it would crack her up.
Steph had careful. I can't talk it up too much.
Yes. See?
Yeah.
She has the same disease I have.
She does. Yeah.
But Steph had minor problems with the dog stuff because all of the dog stuff when a dog dies in this movie is hilarious and treated very cartoonishly.
Right.
Like it's not in any way malicious or mean or bloody or terrible. It's just plain funny.
Well,
I have
the second time
in movies.
The second one,
it's fucking hilarious.
The shot back at the dog is fucking. It's out of fucking Looney Tunes.
It's like a fur coat just like planted on the ground, basically.
I mean, the third one literally is Looney Tunes, like with the giant. I don't know what the hell it is. It's like concrete block.
It's a stone portion of the building.
But the part of that one that kills me the most is when she doesn't know where her dog is. She's like looking around. She doesn't get it that this big, huge concrete block has crushed her dog. And she goes to walk away, and the leash catches. Oh my god, it's funny.
Yes.
But no, I agree. Like there are, generally speaking, in real life scenarios or in anything that is taken much more seriously, I am like you, Chuck. I don't want to see. It's like if we go way, way back, almost 200 episodes ago. I don't know if you remember this, Jason, but I didn't want to talk about the scene in Suspiria when the old blind man was attacked by his own dog. So all of that kind of connection between people and their pets or whatever, I don't want to see either side of that.
Right.
But this movie is able to just nail it.
It expertly handles the situation in a way that would feel like any other movie was just stealing if they tried to do it almost from this movie. But great stuff. Like the dog running off with the other dog is one of my favorite things I think I've ever seen.
Oh, just the close up of it, just snatching the dog, fucking kills me.
Yeah,
it looks like it's just picking up a toy and running off with it.
So that like continuously happens. We kind of touched on each of them. Palin doesn't really succeed in the way he thought he would, but the lady does eventually croak, right? And he laughs hysterically.
It's after the third dog dies. So the first dog is the Doberman Pinscher. The second one, he's dressed up like a Rastafarian, and he's gonna run her. He's gonna drive by her and cause her a fright to die. But he hits a dog, and it gets back to it, dogs. And it's just flattened, like legs out, and just flattened on the sidewalk.
It's Wile E. Coyote fucking
exactly. And then the third one, he is going to drop the metal thing near her.
He shoots it. You think he's going to shoot her with the rifle, but he shoots the
thing because again,
rope.
It's to scare her. So it drops next. So it's supposed to drop next to her, frighten her, kill her. It lands on a dog.
Yeah,
her third dog, which that finally, after now all of her dogs are dead now. So the real funny fucking thing about this whole thing is that Ken, the animal lover, had to kill her animals to kill her. Fantastic.
Yeah,
perfect.
And then he goes down and he confirms the kill. and he sees that she's had a heart attack.
Yeah,
and
they
died.
cover the police cover her.
Oh my god!
And then he just laughs.
He's maniacal. It's so good. He's perfect.
And
in
each time that he's tried to kill her, he's gotten hurt a different way until the third time. So he's got this eye patch over him. He's got scratches on his face.
Yeah.
He's a mess.
I was going to mention when he first lines up his shot, and they don't even make a joke out of it. You just have to see it quickly. Is he puts the gun over the eye patch?
Over the iPad,
Yeah, but they don't make him switch.
Yeah.
Like that's like an obvious like modern joke.
It's so
It's
good.
funnier that they don't show that he corrects it.
Uh-huh.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
So that is his original arc. He has another one coming, which is great.
Which also cures his stutter.
Yes, it does cure his stutter.
Okay.
But
So we've got another thing that happens where Wanda has met
Archie.
Archie at it's a place that Archie arranged, right?
Archie
Yes, it's a flat.
has access to a flat of a
Like a colleague.
colleague or a prosecutor or something.
Yeah.
Who is in
And-
Hong Kong for weeks.
yeah,
And Otto sniffs it out because he sees a note or something. And if come to find out, Wanda didn't tell Otto because she didn't want Archie, or she didn't want Otto fucking it up because he fucked up the last meeting. But they're gonna
He
have this
fucks up
rendezvous.
everything.
He fucks up everything.
I'm going to
They're gonna have
belabor
they're
this
gonna-
for 1 second, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
geez, okay.
But 1 second. When Otto is talking to Wanda when she's in the bathroom fixing her hair, and he's like yelling shit out to her, he's inadvertently throwing parts of the note into his conversation and correcting them the whole time, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh,
It's hilarious.
I also love when Ken shows up and realizes that Wanda's in the apartment, and she comes out like she was taking a shower, and then he goes into the bedroom and because he hears a noise, and it's Otto on the toilet, but he's got his pants on.
Yeah. And he
And
gets
then
up and
he-
flushes.
and he flushes the toilet.
and then Otto's like, but she was showering.
It's so
Go
good.
ahead. Please take us forward because we're belaboring a lot of this.
All right, excuse me. All right, so they're having this rendezvous, and all the while, Kevin Kline, Otto, is out. He's outside. He's looking in the window at them, and he's moving around, and he's like bobbing his head, looking at them.
And it gets closer and closer too. Like he
Yeah, he gets
becomes
closer and
larger and
closer.
larger in the shot. Yeah.
And then Wanda is making jokes about Otto, saying, "Oh yeah, he's so stupid. You know, he even believes that your daughter was named after the car." and Otto is just getting pissed, right?
Oh,
And-
the other thing he's doing, he's also got the stethoscope
He's
up
got
to the window
stethoscope. Yeah.
to hear everything. Yeah.
So then the camera comes in real close, and John Cleese is about to say those words, right? That Otto just can't abide.
Right.
And right as he's about to say them, this fucking kills me. Otto just comes right up into the frame in between them, from the floor, basically. He's like, "Don't call me stupid."
I don't know how they filmed this movie without like several takes.
Oh, I guarantee you there's a reel of outtakes.
Oh my
There
god!
has to be.
Just with Kevin Kline in every scene, just
Yes.
his intensity of his insanity.
He
is-
deserved his Oscar
Oh, God,
1,000%. And then the scene where and it comes right after it, where he's hanging Cleese out the window,
Oh,
making
God.
him apologize to him.
And
I don't know how
how calm Cleese is.
he's very British. He goes
Yeah.
back into this British dude that said, "We invite piles of corpses to dinner." You
Yeah.
know, like nobody's alive. And this is his, like, he
I have it.
reverts.
I have it up right now. He says,
Please do, because it's wonderful.
Excuse me. He says, all right. I apologize. You're really sorry? I'm really sorry. I apologize unreservedly. You take it back? I do. I offer complete retraction. The imputation was totally without basis. In fact, it was in no way fair comment and was motivated purely by malice. I deeply regret any distress my comments may have caused you or your family, and I hereby undertake not to repeat any such slander at any time in the future.
It's fucking great.
To which Otto just replies,
Okay.
okay.
And that sets up another one of the most brilliant scenes in this movie, which is the gunpoint apology, which is just fucking amazing. But we'll get there, right? Wanda
maybe in an hour.
Yeah, Wanda kind of reprimands Otto for this, like, telling him he's stupid in every way you can tell him he's stupid, and saying, he says apes don't read philosophy, and she's like, well, they do, but they don't understand it. Like,
that's a great line.
It's fucking wonderful. But we can blow by that. She basically puts him in his place and says, you have to fucking apologize. At the same time, Michael Palin has gone back to...
Yeah. Go ahead. No, I'm just thinking... No, it's just when he goes to apologize.
We'll get there in just 1 second.
We'll we're on their way there.
The fake robbery.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Has that already happened?
It hasn't happened yet.
No, that's when he goes to apologize.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
It happens at the same time.
And then he does it again later. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because that's not the gunpoint apology. So anyway, Palin goes to tell George Thomason that, hey, I killed her. The old lady's dead, basically. And George Thomason's having he's very manic at this point. And he's like, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to get off. You're going to collect me. We're going to go to the airport, take our 4 tickets. And it's so wonderful. Palin's like, George is like, we'll get rid of Otto later.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
So that's their plan, right? They're going to get George out after Wanda, who's the star witness to the case, goes in and says, he was with me that morning, right?
Yes, she was the alibi the whole time.
Yes. So there's that. And then we go to the reason that Wanda would not sleep with Leech is that she doesn't have her locket back that Leech's wife just fucking loves.
Right.
And she's like, well, I have a really hard time having sex with people I cannot trust.
Right.
Right. And he's like, well, basically, I promise you I'll get the locket back. And his idea for doing this is to rob himself. Right as Otto is going to apologize.
Come in and apologize.
It's fucking...
Otto thinks...
Go ahead, Jeff.
Otto thinks that there's a real robbery going on.
Yes.
So to do Archie a solid, he's going to stop the real robber, not realizing that he's beating the shit out of Archie, the person he's come to apologize to.
It's so funny. It reminds me of... It's kind of used later. Well, maybe it doesn't remind. The Austin Powers Goldmember 3, when Mini-Me defects over to the other side and he gets put in a bag and is like hit into everything. Yeah. Well, that's what kind of happens to Leech here. He's like, Kevin Kline comes in, he pulls his jacket over his head or puts a bag over his head or whatever.
Then he ties his hands behind him.
Ties his hands behind his back. And this is like, Otto is stupid without calling Otto stupid, because the whole time Leech is saying, Otto, Otto, and he's hitting him in the head with the... I think it's like something to do with
it's the little shovel that goes with your fireplace. That's
what it is, a fireplace thing. It looked like a pan. That's why it kind of confused me. But he knocks the shit out of him, and then he yells, "And don't call me Otto!" And he's like, "Oh shit!"
And then he just runs away.
Yes. Well, he says I'm sorry twice, and then he starts kicking him because he's mad at him for fooling him. And then he runs away. Just another brilliant fucking Kevin Kline scene in this movie.
Right.
Now we're kind of, I think, getting towards the nitty gritty, right?
He gets the locket back that way.
Oh, yes, because he fucking eats it. It's so great.
he puts it in his mouth because his wife comes home. And then which is great because he has her untie him, and then he slips the locket into his pocket, and he's like, all right, gotta go. There's a meeting that I have to go to. He doesn't give a shit about it.
We've just been robbed. He's like, it's okay.
It's okay.
No big deal.
He's like, you've been attacked. That's fine.
I just love how belabored and long him swallowing the chain is, because it's kind of like his life, right?
Yeah.
He's always swallowing the chain or whatever. I don't know how to explain it, but he does it for like 30 seconds almost. He's like, but yeah, he has the
I'm definitely gonna keep the video of you doing that and then do it in slow motion. And then make a gif out of it.
Put a chain in my mouth.
No, we're gonna put words around that somehow. We're gonna
don't touch my dick. Yeah,
I love all this dialogue. Oh God, I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was you. How could I know it was you? I mean, how could you expect me to guess? Stupid jerk. I mean,
then he starts kicking him.
What the fuck are you doing robbing your own house? You asshole, you stupid, stiff, pompous English. I'm sorry. That might actually be improv.
That might
maybe a little of it.
Some of it probably is, but the thing is that we're talking about actual actors.
Who understood the script, and their improv is
and they're living their characters.
Right.
When people like, oh God, we're bringing this up again, but when people like Will Ferrell and do that sort of stuff, they're not really actors. They're stand-up comedians. So they're just riffing until something hits. Right. Which is not, if you're an actor, you've been through improv and you know and understand those things. And I'm guessing Kevin Kline probably had to in some of those more manic scenes. It's like, we'll piece it together however we're supposed to, but I'm sure it was one of these, okay, I know my character, I know what I'm doing,
right?
But yeah,
he also made
almost every single comedian that is an actor today, I don't think I could trust them to not just say what's on the fucking page.
Yeah. Well, that's why when I defend it, like improv, I can only think of Jim Carrey all the time.
Sure.
Robin Williams is another one.
Wait, he's older. He's an older example. I'm thinking like more modern.
I just don't consider Carrey even modern anymore. I mean, he came up in the late 80s and into the 90s, you know?
I'm saying more modern, I guess. And I would like to request at this point that we do cover Liar Liar, because I fucking love that movie. Not almost in the same way. Denied. Disappointed. All right, back. What do I have to do in this world to get you guys to let me pick movies?
Oh, by the way, at one point, Otto introduced himself as Harvey Manfredson, and
I meant to mention that.
And Wendy repeats it back without fucking missing
verbatim.
A beat.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
He's like, and he says it like I'm Manfred Jensen. He's questioning
and she just
him.
whips it back when she's like, "Well, Mr. Manfred Jensen."
Perfect. Perfection.
That's in that middle scene that I think is like really, I can't even do it justice describing it. One of my favorite scenes I've seen in a movie in years.
Yeah, it's at least one of the best comedic scenes in ever.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's see where we're at. So now we go back to the flat.
Yeah.
That that Leach has borrowed from someone else, and he has got full-on confidence because he's given her the lock it back.
Fucked.
He's given her the lock it back. She's going to allow him to sex it up, and she's like, "Can you
Russian?
Can you speak any other languages?" And and this is funny because he starts to speak Italian, which is the language we know turns her on so far.
Right.
And then he stops and says, but that's
but he says also the same thing that Otto says, which is, yes, I'm Italian.
Yeah.
Otto said that to her earlier. He's like,
Yes.
"Are you really an Italian?" It's like, "Yes, of course." And then he starts speaking Italian, and the same thing happened with Archie. But then he stops, and which language does he switch to?
Well, yeah, he says Italian is basically a shitty language.
It's ugly.
And you expect ugly language, and you expect her a different reaction from her. Like she would fall out of love with him at this point for saying something she loves, but he's like, he speaks a much uglier language to her, in my opinion, which is Russian.
Right?
And she fucking
She starts humping the arm of a chair practically.
She plays this so well.
Yeah.
Like this might be her best acting in the movie, is how turned on she is by him speaking Russian. She's literally drooling.
Yeah.
Like literally drooling over him. And he's ripping off all his clothes, like getting naked and dancing. John Cleese is surprisingly fit at this age in his life. Don't touch his dick though.
No.
But then a random family shows up.
So you think it's the people who own the place, but no, it's a husband and a wife and a daughter and like 40 grandkids or something. It's a lot billion of people come in
with a nanny. There's definitely a nanny there.
Yeah. So I guess so it's like a couple, their nanny, and like 5 kids of different ages. And he's just fucking dick out facing them.
Yeah, he's totally nude.
Yeah, and so he grabs the picture of the guy's wife who owns the place and covers his crotch. And he finds out from them that they leased the place from the agency that handles these, the place while the guy is in Hong Kong.
Right. He's like, this is hilarious.
This is a completely different story then. Because he's indignant at them at first. It's like, well, who are you people? It's like, I know that this belongs to so-and-so and so-and-so, and they're in Hong Kong for weeks.
And he gave me the key.
Yeah, and they said, well, we just, we leased it through the agency for a week. He's like, oh, well, that makes a completely different story then. And then they're like, well, hey, wait a minute. Aren't you Archie Leach? We sold you our house. And he's like, oh, well, funny that we're in this situation now.
Yeah. Fucking great.
But then, so it's so at this point, it's kind of, Archie also kind of has a moment of realization that what he's really doing isn't really good. And he decides to call things off with Wanda. But...
Which he does. He literally calls things off with Rhonda. But, yes.
But Otto is there.
Otto's going to make his apology.
which he says, he's like, just, what is it? What does he say? He says something like, he goes, hang on. I just had it. He's like, basically, it's like, basically he tells him, it's like, well, just have at it. Fuck her blue.
Oh, yeah. Look, she's a very sexy girl. I understand you wanting to play around with her. It's okay. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was jealous. Just go ahead. Pork away, pal. Fuck her blue.
Away, pal.
Yeah. And while this is happening, he's had to chase him down. Otto has chased Leach down, knocked him over, and has him at gunpoint to apologize to him. And all the while, upstairs, Leach's wife is up in the window listening to all of this.
Right.
So I like you, Archie. I just want to help.
Yeah. Which is his whole, like, anytime he tries to help, he fucks things up. Anytime he tries to not help, he fucks it up. Like, he's just constantly fucking everything up. Otto is a legit mess.
Yes.
Legit mess.
And he's stupid.
Yes, but don't call him that.
No, you can't call him that.
But what's happened? Ken has killed the witness.
We talked about that.
Did we? All right. So, but now George is getting out.
Yes.
Well,
supposed to get out.
If Wanda does what she's supposed to do, which is to confirm that he was with her, to which she decides to basically, she's got everything she needs. She doesn't need Archie anymore. She definitely doesn't need George anymore. So she basically throws George under the bus.
Yep. She says he left at 5 to 7. I wondered why he left, which basically implicates him in the jewel thief.
Right.
The jewel heist.
something about like why
they
are
don't
you
know. They don't know where the diamonds are yet.
No.
no,
But
but
George
this
has
is all
told
part
Ken.
of the plan because if he has to change his plea, then she's going to still hopefully be able to find out.
Yeah.
What's going on.
Yes,
So it's
because
all
Leach will know. Because
Right.
the first person that will know is Leach.
right. To which Leach realizes kind of what's going on. So he then after George tries to attack Wanda in the courtroom, Leach takes him. Archie takes him back to the whatever room, the holding room, and it's basically it's like you got to tell me right now they are about to put you away, and you're going to be put away for like 15 years or something. You know, if you tell me where the diamonds are, you might get 8 years. You'll be out in 5.5. And he's like, well, what if I just give them to you? If you give them to me, you'll be out in 4 years or whatever.
And what if I add Wanda and Otto 3.5 or whatever?
Right.
And George Thomason maintains, like, go ask Bartlett. He'll ask Ken. And he's like, well, where's Ken? He's like, oh, he's at my flat. So Cleese fucking hauls ass for the flat.
Right. And also at this point, he has nothing left to lose anyway because his wife's already told him we're getting a divorce.
He's made his decision.
Right. So
what he wants to do.
He then collects Wanda.
Yep.
And say, okay, we're getting out of here. We got to go. We got to stop by George's place and we're going to go to South America.
And a real quick thing, I'll make it as quick as possible, but this scene is fucking wonderful and very, very important to the film. While the court shit is going on, Otto is at George's flat.
Yeah.
And he has Ken tied up. And he's sticking chips.
Yeah. French fries up his nose.
Yep.
And
he's like, what goes good with chips?
Yeah.
Fish. And he starts eating all the fish out of the fish tank to get George to tell him where the
Ken.
safe deposit or Ken, thank
yeah.
you. He's trying to get Ken to tell him where the safe deposit key and box are. And he's down to like Wanda.
All of it. He's eating all the fish except for Wanda. And he knows that's the special one.
Yes.
Again, it's only a $5 fish at PetSmart.
It's so gross, though. He's like gulping them down.
Oh, he's
It is.
doing them too.
It looks kind of real too.
It does, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he probably. Let's put it this way: that Oscar is more for that than it was. For anything else.
Probably.
It's like, oh, you had to eat those. Oh, here you go, buddy.
But that scene is ultra important in the movie, right? Like,
Yeah.
He eventually gets the name of the hotel that the safe deposit box by Heathrow Airport is, as well as where the key is supposed to be, which is in the chest.
Not knowing that Wanda's already taken it.
Yes, and Wanda has kept that to herself the whole movie.
Yep.
And it's just hilarious. He almost kills, like, Palin's acting when he has the apple in his mouth and the 2 chips in his nose. Like, he really looks like he's about to die.
Well, I'm pretty sure he can't breathe at all.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering if there was a hole in the apple, probably.
I don't know. I have a feeling that they were just like, let's go for it.
Yeah, probably. But that's what I figure my boys from Monty Python would do.
Yeah. So this also pretty much breaks Ken completely.
Yes, he's done.
So at this point they have to go to get the location. So he goes Archie finds Ken. Meanwhile, Otto takes off with Wanda. And he's like, yeah, fuck you, Archie, asshole. And then this is the scene that we talked about earlier, where he's getting all of the information from Ken, and Ken is stuttering so badly until basically all of the puzzle pieces are figured out, to which then he doesn't, he like once he writes down everything that he can't get out for Archie to go then to the next level or to the next step. At that point, then he can say what he wrote down.
Yeah. he does the airplane, for Heathrow.
Instead of writing it, it's like, And you're right. At that point, like, Archie's like, Heathrow. All right. And so he takes off. And so they, so yeah, it's like there's the hotel room in which Wanda and Otto get the get the diamonds, and then they're going to get their tickets for Buenos Aires, I think. And then but Archie is close behind. What we don't know is that Ken is close behind him. And
God.
Yeah. So Archie and Otto kind of have their final detente, I guess.
Well. My favorite moment in this is when Archie and Ken show up at the check-in counter.
Yes.
And Ken, he just brushes right past Archie, gets onto the luggage conveyor, and the look on his face as he goes backward down the conveyor is so funny. It's so perfect. Like, it's hard to describe. You just have to see it. He's just the look on his face is so determined and sinister and bent on revenge. It's just amazing.
And kind of surprised that he got away with it a little bit.
That he's like, he is a man of action all of a sudden. It's so good.
And the lady, while that's happening, says, "Do you have any luggage?" She's like, "I don't need any." Because if she looked back, she'd see Ken going down the conveyor belt.
So now this is so Otto finds Archie, and at one point this is when Archie is like kind of throwing the Vietnam War into Otto's face.
Oh God. Yeah.
Which he's just goading him.
They're out on the tarmac and he makes them get in a barrel. Right.
That's got like
scene you're talking about,
or oil or something in it.
Yeah.
And so Archie is basically now just straight up confronting Otto. And then he
that's not when they're in the tarmac. That's when they're inside, and he's like, "Fight me as a man," because he has his gun.
And it's like, I used to box for Oxford.
Yes.
Before that, there's an amazing moment where Otto is walking into the airport and he goes through the metal detector, but he flips the gun
on the
outside of it and it catches it. It's like, oh my God, it's so good. That's so good.
So then, they eventually end up out on the
tarmac.
And so and at this point, it's just a bunch of who's going to apologize to whom, and who's going to say what the other one wants them to say.
And we know Wanda's on the plane wanting Leech to show up,
right?
Not Otto.
And we also know what Archie knows, which is way the fuck down there,
dude.
Is Ken in a steamroller.
Dude, can I talk about this? Because this is the antithesis almost of one of my favorite Monty Python scenes of all time.
Yeah.
Which is Lancelot running up the hill.
Yes.
And you have this great drum beat, and it's like, brrr, brrr, and right when he's about to appear and kill everyone, he's back at the bottom of the hill.
Right.
And Otto is in this 5-mile-an-hour fucking steamroller. And he, like, Steph immediately was like, he's so far away.
It just keeps cutting back to.
Yes, and he's farther away.
Still really far away.
And Leech does the only thing he knows how. He antagonizes Otto about American and English things, and the voice he uses when he pretends he's Southern.
Oh God!
Fucking spot on perfection. Like, it's so good. He's like antagonizing him and saying, "Well, North Vietnam kicked your ass." It just really, really pisses Otto off.
Yeah, because Otto's like,
they whooped your hide real good, is what he said.
Yeah. And he's like, no, they didn't. It was a tie.
It was a tie. But Otto, while realizing, and this is Kevin Kline why he won the Oscar 2.0, when he looks back at Palin, when Leech points him there, the look on his face is priceless. It's like, exasperation, but also astonishment at this guy trying to kill him with a 5-mile-an-hour steamroller.
It's Ken coming to kill me.
And Ken, all the while, at 5 mile an hour, is yelling, "Revenge!"
How are you gonna catch me, Ken?
Yes. And right after he says that, he realizes he's sunk into cement.
Yeah. Which is funny because the cement also saves his life.
Well, he
Yes.
calls it stupid fucking limey cement.
Stupid fucking limey cement.
Everything is limey to him. Is
Yeah.
stupid and limey. But that scene is like, it really is like that Lancelot in Monty Python or the Holy Grail. It really is. But he runs him over, buries him. I'm kind of wondering, I'd really love to know how they did that effect. Because it looks like they really ran a dude over with the cement truck.
Well, they probably had something that looked like a cement truck that weighed like
It was
10
probably
pounds.
like Nerf.
Yeah.
Yeah. it was probably
Don't
foam.
ruin this for me. I was
Okay,
wondering. I
You
didn't
asked,
really
you
want
asked
to
how
know.
they did it.
they really ran Kevin Kline over,
Yeah.
and now it's
In real
Dave.
cement, they had enough. There was enough depth to where
Yeah.
he couldn't been squashed. Yeah, they used physics, Chuck.
Yes.
Well, he won
So-
the Oscar, so it's all fine. But he's been played by his brother Dave ever since.
Oh. But
Oh, that's what that movie's about.
Yeah.
Oh. But Palin runs him over. He's like, "I got him." And then he runs him over again. He's like, "I got him again."
And meanwhile, there are all these people running towards this, like the trying to like.
Yes. It's almost like the end of King Kong that we talked about
Right.
last week.
There are 10,000 people that are running towards him. Yeah.
But at the same time, Leech has run to the plane and gotten on and sits down next to Wanda, and they're in love. Right?
Yep,
they're in
that's
love
it.
now. And he starts speaking he starts speaking Russian to her. And then what happens? Otto pops up again. Like there's something on the wing. It's Otto. And then the plane starts moving and his face starts like the mud and his hat blows off and the mud starts falling off his head and he falls down and what does he yell?
Asshole!
Asshole! Which is what he yelled at everybody he caused to wreck in a car. I'm getting very animated. I'm sorry.
When he
I'm
was
loud.
driving the wrong, when he was driving in the wrong lane.
He was driving the American way every
Right.
time he drove.
And
Yes.
everybody else was an asshole for it.
Yes, he caused every car that ever to wreck, basically. I have to say, I don't need to close this episode out. I don't need to say anything more than this is everything I remembered it being, which is funny and awesome, slapstick greatness, and more than I remember because of all the humor I didn't get when I was 12, 13, whenever I watched this like a million times on HBO.
Right.
It's just fucking wonderful. That's all I have to say about that. Anyone else?
Is it A Fish Called Wonderful?
Yes, it's A Fish Called Wonderful.
They do the thing at the end with the
Yes, they do. I didn't want to bring that up.
with the where did they go? Yeah. I like the Ken is like master of ceremonies at SeaWorld.
Yeah. Well, Otto immigrates to South Africa and becomes Minister of Justice.
yeah. Yeah.
Leech and Wanda open a leper colony.
And they have 17
Right.
children, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that thing. I remember asking you guys, like, when did they
I
stop
think-
doing this thing? But I don't like it.
I think they did that in this movie because it's funny.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Because none of those things are serious.
Right.
they're all jokes.
I don't know. You guys kind of laid the praise on heavy, like at the beginning, but any other
Oh
thoughts?
no, I don't know that I have much more to say.
Absolutely worth its 3 Academy Award nominations. It was beyond Kevin Kline. It was nominated for Best Director and Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in his last film, that's wild.
Yeah.
Like Crichton's last film is only nomination,
Yep.
if I read that correctly.
Yep. But he didn't die until like 99. So I mean,
he just stopped making movies.
He just stopped making movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was like we said, he's quite an old dude, even at this.
What did it lose to? I'm very curious. Like,
what won in '88?
So here we go. Kevin Kline beat Dean Stockwell, Alec Guinness, Martin Landau, and River Phoenix.
Cool.
Was River Phoenix? What year was that? Was that Stand By Me?
That was Running on Empty.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you.
Dean Stockwell, what was he nominated for?
Married to the Mob.
Okay.
Quantum Leap.
Everything for Quantum Leap.
That's Dean Stockwell.
Yeah. The best director. God, these are all out of order. He lost to. So the screenplay lost to Rain Man. Best director, also Rain Man.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to watch Rain Man at some point as well, if we could.
That's a good movie.
Yeah,
I like it. Of course, it's definitely a good movie.
Definitely. Time for Whopper.
Dun 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 dun.
God, these are I don't know. I never saw the director.
See, this movie, while Jeff is looking at, is one of those rare comedies that like transcends comedy.
Yeah,
because it's a good movie that's funny, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't get a whole lot. Like that takes a special talent to make something that's I don't know how meaningful it is, but I'll say the word meaningful. That's also funny.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It has a certain heart to it.
Well,
it doesn't quite go in the Planes, Trades, and Automobiles or even the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels territory of
heartfelt,
of super heartfelt. Yeah. What you would expect from a PG movie, right?
Right. This is through and through an R-rated movie.
It's got an edge to it. Yeah.
Because one of the things I like a whole lot about this movie is that, like I said before, there is not one character in this movie that is actually a good guy. You could say Michael Palin's a good guy in this, but he's not really. He's a criminal who happens to like animals and has
he's trying to kill an old lady.
But he's trying to kill an old lady.
Cleese is the closest to a good.
But he's not, though.
He's kind of like Walter White from Breaking Bad.
Corruptible.
He's corruptible. And
he's cheating on his wife. I mean, whatever,
right.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, there are other ways that you can deal with that wife situation than what he did.
Right. He didn't need to force her to divorce him. He could have done it himself.
Exactly. And so so nobody in this movie now that doesn't necessarily mean that not a single character is beyond redemption. There are some redeemable characters here, Archie and Wanda being, and probably.
Do they?
Ken.
I don't know if they really get redemption though. They got away with murder almost.
Well, no, but I'm saying that they are worthy of redemption.
Okay, fair.
Otto is absolutely not worthy of redemption. The first thing George is going to do when he gets out of prison is going to rob another bank.
Right.
You know, the Portia is just as bad as her mother, and her mother's worse. I don't know what that means. But
final line, and after we watched this movie, and she was like, we talked about it for a minute, and she's like, and poor Portia has to live with her mother the rest of her life.
Portia, I mean, outside of Portia being kind of like that stereotypical,
she's superficial.
She's superficial, but she's also ignored.
She's also a teenager. I mean,
well, but you can already see
she's an innocent though.
Yeah, you can already see where she's headed.
Oh, do shut up, Jeff.
Oh, do shut up.
Don't call me stupid. But yeah, no, this. But there is still, you like these characters. You even like Otto.
Oh yeah,
he's a madman
because it's all a cartoon.
It's a cartoon. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. There's a spiritual sequel to this, but they did set it up that there would 100% could be a sequel to this movie.
Fierce Creatures? Are you talking about?
Fierce Creatures is not a direct sequel to this. It's just the same cast in a different scenario. I'm really glad they did not make a sequel to this movie because it feels like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Like there's no way you could recreate
Oh,
this.
but don't worry, Chuck. I mean, I'm sure somebody will get real super nostalgic for this, and then in 2023 there'll be a sequel to cash in on the 35th anniversary or something.
You know what though?
And it will ruin their childhood.
Yep.
You know what though? I think that
because Portia will be the lead. And
Oh,
women
no.
are gross.
to be honest with you,
Yeah.
that movie will probably suck balls. But
Stick
if we
balls?
talked about this in our 200th episode, movies that I think need like a reappraisal. I don't think a lot of our generation has actually seen this.
Probably
so there's a
not.
whole lot of people out there that would probably love this because even like more popular movies like heist movies, what am I thinking of? Ocean's 11 or those other heist movies. I think everyone that loves those would love this.
Yeah. Well, here's also the other thing about this is that it will get remade and it will star Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd.
Oh God, no! Don't
and there
do
will
that.
not be a script. And
Oh no!
and George will be played by Chris Pratt.
No.
Chris Pratt.
Yep.
Platt.
It's not even Chris Pratt.
Yeah. Not even Chris Pratt. Chris
One
Platt.
one idea you had there, and I don't want to see
His porno double.
never in my life. Yeah, Chris Platt. I never want.
There we go. That's why we bring you on.
Thanks. That's all I brought to this was my Chris Platt.
That's
I will say, as overly used as Paul Rudd is, I kind of would like to see his take on Ken. It wouldn't be nearly as good, but that's the only part of it that I think I would have.
He would
any
only be
interest in.
himself. He would only be Paul
You're
Rudd.
probably right. You're probably
Ryan Stiles. Ryan Stiles is the only person who can do it.
God, you're right. Oh my God.
He's the only person that can do it.
Oh my God. I love that man too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who could Colin Mockery be in this movie though? George Thomason or
He would be.
or
Colin
Maki
Mockery would
Georgeson?
He'd be a Maki Georgeson for sure.
By the way, before we close things out here, the other director nominee. So yeah, Barry Levinson won for Rain Man. Alan Parker for Mississippi Burning. Mike Nichols for Working Girl, and Martin Scorsese for The Last Temptation of Christ. I don't think Charles Crichton had a chance.
Damn,
No,
that's
and-
crazy. Well, it's just an honor to be nominated.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
It's just amazing how unknown I feel this movie really is.
Yeah. So,
For that like kind of critical acclaim and stuff. Like you don't hear people talk about A Fish Called Wanda ever these days. I don't think.
not really. I mean, it comes up every now and then where somebody's like, "Hey, did you ever see that movie?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, that was really funny." But yeah, I mean, no, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. In my limited internet research, it seems to pop up in a lot of like British comedy lists, like the
Right.
best British comedies. You know, it shows up in those. But yeah, you're right. I mean, not over here. Does it really have a whole lot of following, which is weird.
So
Just good shit. Anything else on this one or did we did it?
We did
I
it.
think we more than did it.
Yep.
Good. Yeah, because we've been at it for a while. Holy
We
shit.
double did it.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe triple did it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next week is another British comedy from Chuck.
Oh yes. Maybe not as lofty as this one, but it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It's got a lot of pedigree though.
I love it a
And
lot.
I haven't
I love
seen
it a
that
lot.
movie since it was in the theater. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I accidentally watched the first half of it thinking we were covering it this week.
That's
And
all right.
it's for me, it still well holds up. It's excellent. I love the book by Douglas Adams, so we'll talk about that soon.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about it so soon. We're going to talk about it next week.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's going to be next Wednesday. That will close out 2021. So that's that. Next Monday on Monster Mondays, I have Kronos, which is the first Del Toro. So it's fantastic. Good stuff there.
Yep.
Nice little dark comedy. that we had there. So those things can be found at filmseizure.com. You can also find us at several podcast locations. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look for Film Seizure. That should do it. This weekend at my website, bmovieanima.com, this Friday, for all of your Christmas enjoyment, I have Vanilla Ice starring in Cool as Ice. And then Saturday, the season finale of B Movie Enema, the series, also celebrates Christmas with To All a Good Night.
Yeah.
And that should be good stuff there. So go over to bmovieenema.com. Follow me at Facebook and Twitter, bmovieenema. Do those things. It'll be a good time. Speaking of all of that, this weekend is Christmas. So for those who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. For those who don't, Happy Holidays. I know Hanukkah's already long over. It was very early this year. Yeah, we appreciate every single one of you, and we wish you the very finest of the holidays.
Very sweet.
But until next week, when we start thumbing it across the various galaxies, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck
Moore. Chuck, are you
Chuck
Moore?
Moore.
A beautiful speaking voice when it works, Chuck. I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.